this evening's programme.
First tonight, Cambridgeshire police have apologised for taking more than 11 hours to respond to a 999 call from a teenager reporting that she'd been raped.
Last month, in another incident, officers took 4 hours to respond to a call from a group of student nurses in Peterborough who were being terrorised and threatened with rape.
A judge has described the police's performance in this latest case as lamentable, as Matthew Hudson now reports.
A distressed young woman dials 999 to report she's been raped. An absolute priority for police, or so you'd think. But Peterborough Crown Courts heard it took officers 11 hours to visit the woman.
The case concerned an allegation that a serious sexual assault took place here in Highbury Street in Peterborough's Millfield district on November the 26th last year. A 19-year-old woman claimed she was lured into an alleyway and assaulted. The defendant, a 15-year-old youth, denied her claims and said that any sexual contact was consensual. He was acquitted of 2 charges of rape following a week-long trial. Neither the defendant nor the woman who made the allegation could be named for legal reasons.
The woman made the first 999 call at 4:49 in the afternoon. Police officers were not sent out. Half an hour later, she made another emergency call. At 6:30 that evening, she spoke to a passing police community support officer. Acting on instructions, he sent her home alone. A police officer eventually went to interview her more than 11 hours later at 3:53 a.m. After the verdicts, Judge Sean Enright said no officer attended until 7 minutes to 4 in the morning. These facts are lamentable, to put it mildly. Today, local women we spoke to agreed.
They should be here within minutes. There must be plenty of police around, should be here within a few minutes.
That's horrible, but it happens all the time, especially in Peterborough.
The officer who originally spoke to the woman, who has learning difficulties, has now been taken off frontline call centre work and retrained. The city's MP says what happened can't be repeated.
People need to understand that it must be an absolute priority, that when women make an accusation of rape, then the police must act with great speed and make sure that they get the full service so that justice will be done.
Earlier this year, 2 Peterborough nurses had to lock themselves in their rooms after being terrorised in their flat by 4 intruders. The police took 4 hours to arrive after making it a low priority. Rape charities say incidents like these send out the wrong message.
It's actually quite damaging. The message that it sends out to women that have been raped is that the police aren't taking the rape seriously. It's already a difficult crime to report. We know that only 10% of women do report. And the fact that those that are reporting and not being taken seriously by the police should be a big concern for the community.
The Cambridgeshire police say this latest case will be used as an example of bad practice in future training. Matthew Hudson, Anglia News, Peterborough.
Well, earlier I spoke to Detective Chief Inspector Melanie Dales from the Cambridgeshire Police Force and began by asking for her reaction to Judge Sean Enright's comments that the 11 hours it had taken for Cambridgeshire Police to respond to a rape call was lamentable.
It's really unfortunate. In this case, it took us 11 hours to respond to this call, and we are deeply sorry for the distress caused to the victim. In this particular case, the initial call taker failed to identify that a rape had occurred, and that developed into a series of actions which meant that the victim was left for an unsatisfactory period of time.
Well, one slip-up is bad enough, but this is the 3rd time you've been called to account on this programme alone. It's just simply not acceptable, is it?
It isn't acceptable, and that's why when we identified the case ourselves early on this year, we took immediate action to ensure that it did not happen again. We took the call taker off frontline duties, and we have spoken to every person involved and giving them training and development in relation to ensuring that this doesn't happen again, both for those individuals and across the organisation.
So where do the problems exist then, do you feel? Is it a lack of resources, or is it simply that the training isn't up to scratch at the moment?
I think that we've gone through a period of change over the last 2 years in Cambridgeshire, and we've significantly improved the quality of training in relation we give to all staff in relation to serious sexual offences. This case happened in November last year, and prior to that the officers concerned hadn't received that training. They now have received that training. They're fully aware of what they should do, and I'm confident that they would react totally differently if any circumstances such as this occurred again.
Well, just give us one more reason as well why this evening the people of Cambridgeshire should have any confidence in their police force at all.
In Cambridgeshire, we are passionate about improving the service that we deliver to victims of any offence, but in particular serious sexual offences. We've totally redefined the service in the way we deliver our policing response to victims of serious sexual offences. We will respond immediately to any call regarding a sexual offence, and you will receive quality care and a quality investigation from a force that have striven to improve their quality of service.
Detective Chief Inspector Melanie Dales, thank you very much indeed for your time this evening.
Thank you.
And apologies for the noise disturbance on that interview. Right, next tonight, forensic tests confirmed today that the schoolgirl Stacey Lawrence was sexually assaulted before being strangled by her mother's boyfriend in his lorry's cab at a lay-by in Northamptonshire.
Darren Walker, who had taken 9-year-old Stacey out with him as a treat, was found hanged in woodland nearby. Well, our reporter Neil Bradford is at Warmington, near Anglia, where both bodies were found last month. Neil, terribly disturbing news for Stacey's family.
Yes, it's hard to imagine anything more distressing for the family. It was exactly 2 weeks ago today that Stacey Lawrence's mother stood at this exact spot where her daughter died, trying to make sense of the senseless. And today, confirmation of the news she somehow hoped would not be true. The man that Stacey called Dad sexually assaulted her before strangling her.
I just hate him for what he's done. But the man that I loved is not the man that did this. Like, you know, this isn't the man we knew who did this. But obviously the man that did this is an animal, a beast.
The powerful words of Roxanne Lawrence earlier this month describing the man who killed her 9-year-old daughter Stacey. A man who had won their hearts and their trust. A man Stacey had just started calling Dad. But 41-year-old lorry driver Darren Walker appeared to have an ulterior motive when he invited his partner's daughter on a delivery run to Norfolk on the Friday before the August bank holiday. Hours after these CCTV pictures were taken of the pair at a service station near Peterborough, the bright and popular 9-year-old was found dead in the lorry's cab. Walker's body was found hanging from trees in woodland next to the lay-by they'd stopped at in the village of Warmington in Northamptonshire.
Police have today made public results of forensic tests carried out on Stacey's body, which confirm she was the victim of a sexual assault. A spokesman for Northamptonshire Police say there is no evidence that she had been raped, but the tests show there was evidence of a sexual assault.
Detectives say they aren't looking for anyone else in connection with Stacey's murder, but they say they want to give her family as many answers as they can about what happened that tragic night, even if those answers reveal sickening detail. Neil Bradford, Anglia News, Northamptonshire.
Well, Neil, is that it then? Is that the end of the police investigation?
Well, this isn't a criminal investigation in the conventional sense. The detectives aren't gathering evidence to put before a jury at a Crown Court trial. Instead, they're gathering evidence to give the family answers and to assist the coroner so he can record an accurate verdict on how Stacey Lawrence died here beside the A605 at Warmington. To that end, this investigation is still live. Detectives are still working on this case, but there must surely be a limit to the amount of information that they can unearth, because the only two people that really know what happened that night, Friday, August the 28th, are Stacey Lawrence and Darren Walker themselves.
Neil, thank you for that. Next tonight, could late-night